What it is, what it do, folks. Welcome back to Daily 5280. If you're new here, my name is Obi. For the people that are new to my channel, that's the first time seeing this, I normally do car content. But I kind of wanted to, like I said, I wanted to switch gears here and talk about something that's a little serious, something that I just recently had to go through, well, me and my wife had to go through. And it's something that has been taboo for a long time, and I don't understand why it is so taboo, because it's not something that, it's something that happens all the time, but no one really wants to talk about it and express how they feel about certain things. And what I wanted to talk about was the fact that me and my wife, predominantly my wife, but experienced a miscarriage. Now, this isn't the first time that we've experienced a miscarriage. Before Skylar, my daughter, that's in the back seat right now, before Skylar was born, there was a miscarriage. The first go round. I wanted to talk about a miscarriage and the effects that it have not only on women, but the effects that it have on men. I'm not gonna lie, I'm super heartbroken over the fact that, the baby didn't make it. It's something that as a man, you try to hold things together, and that's just what we do. We try to hold things together for our better half. But all honesty, once I found out that the baby heartbeat was no longer there, I mean, it tore me up, because it is a life. It is a human life that, and I know that, if you, and I don't want to get super religious and all that, but if, I know that God has a plan for pretty much everything that goes on in life. You gotta, in the darkness of that, you gotta have some sort of light at the end of the tunnel. And maybe the baby wasn't a viable, strong, baby or fetus or whatever you want, whatever you may want to call it. But it still doesn't take away from the fact that stuff hurts. That hurt. Like, I want Skylar to have, a younger brother or a younger sister, and it's not something that people should brush under the table. You should talk about it. You should express exactly how you feel about a miscarriage, and it's no one's fault. You definitely go into it knowing that it is no one's fault, even though when your wife or the mom feels that their fault, their body isn't producing or can't produce a viable fetus. It is not their fault. It is not something that they can control. That is something that is out of our control. We do our best, to provide, or she does her best to provide a safe haven. Essentially, what the womb is a safe haven for that baby to grow and become strong, and basically to have an identity. And sometimes it's just not in the cards for that fetus to grow. It sucks, because like this is, if you count things up, this is the third. We could have had 3 children, but it's in God's hand. Like, I have to say that. I don't have to say it, but I say that to give myself some sort of mental peace, is that it is in God's hand. It's whatever's meant to be will be. At the end of the day, I am glad that we have a healthy baby girl. As crazy as she is, as much as she drives us up the wall by some of the the antics that she do, and it's just her exploring the world because everything is new to her. I thank God. I thank my wife that we have a healthy baby girl. But it still doesn't take away the fact that, I was excited to welcome, in August, when the due date would have been, to welcome another human being into our family. So we are now in the car. We're on our way to the hospital. And like I said earlier, I wanted to get, my wife's perspective of this. This is like almost a week later, because there were other things that we were going to possibly do, or we just needed to wait. In actuality, we just needed to wait to make sure that what we thought was going to happen actually will happen. Like we both held out a little bit of hope, thinking that the baby would survive. But after the second ultrasound, it was determined that the baby heartbeat is no longer. So, like I said, I wanted to get my wife's, perspective on, what she feels, how she feels about this. How do you feel about this?
So, I don't know what all he has said before, but we've been through this once before, kind of the same time frame where found out we were pregnant. We go to our first appointment when you're 8 weeks along, do an ultrasound, and both times, the first time this happened, which is before we had Skylar, and then this time around, ultrasound, you're supposed to be 8 weeks along, but things were only measuring 6 weeks, and that's what happened last time too. It was a shock to us this time. I don't know. Everything leading up to that appointment felt completely normal. I felt 100% pregnant, had all the symptoms, had no reason to think anything was wrong. So I know for me it was just kind of shocking to get that same news again. I just wasn't expecting it. The first time around when this happened, leading up, the week before that first appointment, I have to admit that a lot of my pregnancy symptoms had started to diminish a little bit, and I kind of had a sense that something wasn't quite right. But that wasn't the case this time, and so I think that's why it was such a shock to hear that news. And so, same plan as last time. It was sort of like, well, this time around there was a really faint heartbeat, but it was a lot slower than it should have been, and it was a lot weaker and irregular. So the plan was to follow up a week later and repeat the ultrasound. And she had told us not to get our hopes up, that chances are when we came back a week later there likely wouldn't be a heartbeat or any changes. So, so we knew that, to expect that, with the follow-up appointment. So, fast forward a week, the longest week ever, and got the news basically that I was expecting. There wasn't a heartbeat this time around at all, and there was no change in the size. In fact, it was actually a little bit smaller. So what happened was, it appears the baby stopped developing right around 6 weeks. They call it a miscarriage because the pregnancy itself is 100% not viable. The baby's not alive, but your body still thinks that you're pregnant. So honestly, that's kind of been the worst part of all of this, is that I've felt pregnant this whole time. I've had queasiness, just weird appetite. My boobs have been sore as hell. I've been lethargic, no energy. Basically felt pregnant, basically like a first trimester. How most people feel. So it sucks to feel that way for nothing. So that's been the hardest part. The plan was a couple of ways to deal with this. A lot of times your body will naturally kick in and you'll start to miscarry the baby on your own. There's a way to speed that process up by taking some pills called cytotec. And then there's also a little surgical procedure called a DNC. And my body hadn't started to kick in yet. It hasn't recognized that I was, in fact, not pregnant. So with COVID and everything, the doctor was afraid that scheduling a DNC would be difficult and a couple of weeks out. And so the alternative is to do this cytotec, which was my original plan. I got the prescription filled and everything, and then came home and started reading stories on the internet about it, and chickened out on taking it. It sounds awful. It basically forces your body into sort of a mini labor, so that you know, expel the baby and whatever else is in the uterus at this time. You get rid of it within a couple of hours to a couple of days max. And so it sounds awful. People's experiences, even the people that said they had an okay experience, still said it was, you know, some of the worst cramping and pain in their life, and that they wouldn't wish it upon anybody. I chickened out on that. It didn't sound fun at all, especially not knowing how you're going to handle it. If you're going to be one of the people that has an okay experience, or if you're going to be one of the people that has, you know, the worst experience ever. Something I didn't want to go through, so I emailed the doctor and asked her to schedule me for the DNC procedure, and luckily we were able to get in a lot faster than she had originally thought. So that's what we're doing today. Should be a quick procedure. They do have to knock you out, but it's a, you know, 10-15 minute procedure at most. And so yeah, that's what we're doing today. We'll try again. I'm hopeful that it works out like it did last time. We were able to, you know, after you wait the recommended amount of time that the doctor tells you to wait, we were able to get pregnant with Skylar right away. So I'm hopeful it works out like that this time. But it may not. We don't know. But we'll just have to take it one day at a time and see. But yeah, it's been quite a trip the last couple of weeks. You know, emotions and stuff all over the place. It's kind of hit us at different times, I think. Initially, I thought I was okay with the news. Again, it was more just disappointment that this happened again. But then the reality hits, you know, it's the loss of a baby, and you don't know what's going to happen down the road. So yeah, it's been a roller coaster the last couple of weeks. You know, take pregnancy hormones on top of something like this, and it's kind of a double whammy. And it's hard. You have to act like nothing's wrong, you know. You gotta still work and, you know, interact with people. We had told some friends and family, you know, that we were pregnant, and of course had to give them this news too. So we've had a lot of support and stuff, but still the majority of people don't, at this point when it's this early, they don't know what you're going through. You just have to act normal and do your work and do your job and do your normal things, which is hard when miscarriages just aren't really talked about. So many people go through these over and over, you know, and most people never know that they're going through that because it's just not talked about.
Right.
Which is really unfortunate because it's a big deal to go through. So anyways, yeah, I'm looking forward to getting these next couple of hours over with. I'm starving more than anything because I couldn't eat anything after I went to bed last night. It's now almost 10 o'clock. This procedure is not scheduled until noon, so I'm hungry.
Yeah.
That's hard because when you're feeling queasy from being pregnant, eating is usually what helps me. So yeah, it's the worst part for me, to be honest, this morning.
We will eat after the fact, though, so whatever the hell she wants, we're going to eat.
Yeah.
So I'm going to end this video here. Like I said, I wanted to give perspective. I know I always ask you guys to, you know, share my videos, you know. This is far left from what I normally shoot. You know, I am a family channel. Well, actually, I will say this. This isn't too far left of what I basically promised you guys. I told you that, you know, you'll see cars and you'll see family. This is not scripted. This is just real life. This is me being me, projecting to the world. Now, I know I always ask you guys to share my videos and like them, but if you can really do me a favor and really share this video around with everyone, like it, so everyone can see, because again, this is not something that should be taboo. This is something that should be talked about, and this is something that, you know, that people should have support out there. You know, we want to support. Hence the reason why we're sharing this. We want to support everyone out there that's going through this and let them know that you're not alone. It's not your fault. You know, it's not the end. You can keep trying, and if it's meant to be, you know, you will have a child. You know, one way or another, you will have a child, and it's okay. Don't beat yourself up over it. So until then, you know, stay safe. Much love to you guys. Got pedal? Yeah, you got pedal? What? You got to pedal your bike?